candidate Samura Kamara had rejected the election result. The Armenian authorities say 4 of their troops in the disputed territory of Nagorno-Karabakh have been killed by Azerbaijani fire. The deaths come after the first of 3 days of peace talks in Washington between the foreign ministers of Armenia and Azerbaijan. The State Department said it had been encouraged by the dialogue, but was now uncertain whether further sessions would take place as scheduled. The Oscar-winning Hollywood actor Kevin Spacey is standing trial in London, accused of a dozen sexual offences against 4 men. His career was cut short by a large number of allegations, although he's not been convicted of any crime. Joe Inwood reports.
Kevin Spacey, who's appearing today under his true name Kevin Spacey Fowler, is facing 3 charges of indecent assault, 7 of sexual assault and 2 of sexual activity without consent. The alleged offences took place in London and Gloucester between 2001 and 2013, and there are 4 alleged victims. Now, it's worth saying that Mr. Spacey denies all 12 charges in a trial which is expected to last for 4 weeks.
And that's the latest BBC World News.
We do it to lose ourselves, and we do it to find ourselves. Some people say it helps tackle bigotry and ignorance. Others that it's toxic for the environment and damaging to local communities.
Such a difficult one. I had so many,
And he would come and visit me in the hotel and bring me cassettes, to play on the tape recorder, Hindi songs. And he would ask me to explain to him the songs.
Please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened and all carry-on baggage.
The trip to the Borobudur temple outside Yogyakarta in Indonesia.
He came all the way from Kerala riding on his motorcycle.
There needs to be something of an adventure in it for me. I'm not the kind of person who lies on a beach all week.
The tourist destroys what he seeks by finding it.
Shazia, what's been your most memorable trip?
Well, I went to Shanghai in 2019 to do some shows, and it was so different to anywhere I'd ever before travelled to or performed at. And it was a bit of a shock, really, because for many reasons, but I'm a vegetarian and I had never seen so much meat in my whole life. There was pigs in every shop, just pigs hanging everywhere. And worse than that, there was no Google, there was no Facebook, no internet. So every time I went to get some food, they couldn't understand what I was saying. So every night I had to pretend to be a different vegetable. I mean, this is true. I mean, one night I pretended to be an aubergine. I really wanted aubergine. I tried to hold my breath, thinking, my face is going to turn purple or something. But it was quite hard because I'm brown. So it was just really difficult. I felt like I was an alien landing on another planet.
That is Shazia Mirza, the British comedian and writer, and before her you heard BBC World Service listeners Wilma, Rajan, Sophia and Pranesh. Hello, I'm Rajan Dattar, and by now you've probably guessed that in this forum programme we're talking about tourism, and in particular focusing on the global mass tourism of the last few decades and what it means for countries where it's most prevalent. But why are we talking about it now? Well, 2023 is supposed to be the year when the tourist industry recovers from the interruption enforced by COVID, but also a chance to re-evaluate its impact. You don't need me to tell you that the pandemic was a major problem for the industry, but as Kupanuk Ulsen, a leading influencer from Greenland, put it,
COVID was supposed to be an opportunity to improve the way we handle tourism, the way we have tourism. Can you see any signs that this is happening?
Now, I think this is also a question for Dr. Birgit Trower, the tourism consultant, educator and speaker from Melbourne in Australia. Birgit.
Well, do I see signs of it actually happening? I am not sure about that because tourism is complex. And as much as we've had time to consider what has happened before COVID and what we could do better, I think human beings are like that. They love to go back to the old normal. So it's not a new normal.
Okay, but in Sikkim in northeast India, tourism is one of the most important sectors of the economy. Pranesh, who's a tourist guide there, is asking about the wider impact of COVID.
So what are the problems, the global tourism as a whole, they are facing right now after COVID?
Is that every
That is
single
my
home
question.
in the UK will need to change its heating at some point, won't it? And we spoke to someone on Sky News earlier. I think it costs £6,000 to put a heat pump in. I mean, in the middle of a cost of a living crisis, it's just not affordable, is it?
Yeah, I agree that's true. And the average cost of a heat pump is actually closer to £13,000, and the government's subsidising that with £5,000 at the moment, which taxpayers are paying for. And the issue really is that we need lots of different technologies to heat homes, and not just heat pumps, hydrogen, district heating schemes. Consumers have told us that they want choice, and they want to be able to pick how they heat their homes and not be forced into any single technology. So I think, again, it's important that we have those options available and that we work with consumers to help educate them on how they heat their homes in the future. Great thing about hydrogen, which I work on, and Cadent and other gas companies, is that the boilers in homes are going to be the same price as existing gas boilers. So it's no big change in the way you need to access your heating. It's very familiar.
Still, it is a huge project ahead, isn't it? I mean, how much investment are you looking to put in to get this going?
Investment's definitely needed, and what we need the investment in first is hydrogen production. We need investment in the pipelines that connect those production centres, and we're waiting for government to cement, if you like, the mechanism that attracts that investment into the UK.
Can you give us a number? Can you give us an idea of the kind of amount of cash you're looking at?
I can't right now because it's integrated into the electricity and gas is integrated together. And so what we do know, though, is all of the routes, if you like, to get to net zero are going to cost money. We're going to have to work out as a country how we protect those that are most vulnerable, whether it's electricity or gas or combinations of the both, making sure we've got resilience infrastructure in the future that relies on, I mean, gas today is a good example. We rely on it to generate electricity. We need to make sure we have got a resilient energy infrastructure in the future. And unfortunately, that is going to come at a cost.
OK, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Angela Needle joining us. Now, the president of the European Central Bank has warned that it intends to raise interest rates to break through persistent inflation. Christine Lagarde was speaking at the ECB Forum on Central Banking, which is currently taking place in Sintra in Portugal. Well, joining us now from Sintra is Annette Weisbach from our sister station, CNBC, with her ear to the ground as to what's going on there. I think there's a whole host of central bankers there, isn't there, including Jerome Powell from the Fed in the United States. We know that Europe has an inflation problem. It's not as bad as here in the UK, but interest rates look set to rise. What are you hearing?
Yes, that's exactly the case. I think the general consensus here in Sintra, which is like the who's who gathering of the world's central banker, is that at least here for the euro area, interest rates still need to have to rise because of core inflation is still way too high. And they are very much concerned that with the wage rounds, which are now setting in, that you get so-called secondary effects, that inflation is kind of entrenched in the system. And if that is happening, central banks have to even get bolder and hike even further to get inflation out of the system. That kind of like compares a bit to the 80s, back in Germany, but also in other countries in the euro area where inflation was super high because of the energy crisis back in the late 70s, early 80s. And then central banks hiked their interest rate up to almost 8%. I don't want to say this is comparable, but it feels a bit like that. So this is the so-called hawkish camp who wants to have higher interest rates to get rid of inflation. And of course, as ever in the euro area, you also have other voices, such as the Portuguese central banker, who is calling for more moderation, because clearly they are concerned that this abrupt rise in interest rates will in the end dampen economic growth substantially. So that's the picture here. But I think for the markets, it's really important to understand that the ECB is committed to keep rates high at an elevated, very high level for a longer period of time, and not like the market is currently thinking that they're going to cut rates sooner because of that economic recession, which is looming also in the euro area.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us live from Portugal there on the latest on the ECB. Let's bring a little bit of breaking news as we head to our break. We know that Jeremy Hunt, the Chancellor, is meeting many of the consumer watchdogs, including Ofgem today. Well, Ofgem bringing us some breaking news as well. Apparently, they're going to investigate British Telecom, BT, over 999 calls disruption. They're calling it an own initiative investigation into BT's compliance following BT's notification of a technical fault which resulted in a UK-wide disruption to emergency call services on the 25th of June 2023. They go on to say that it requires certain communication providers to take all necessary measures to ensure the fullest possible availability of 999 calls. And now that they are going to launch this own initiative investigation into what seems to be a breakdown in the 999 call service on the 25th of June in 2023. So what was that, just a few days ago? We'll bring you more on that when we have it. In the meantime, still to come this morning here on Ian King Live, we're going to take a look at how global markets are starting the morning and give you more on the currencies as well. Do stay tuned.
And I'm Sky's US correspondent based here in Los Angeles. Are you still the kingmaker of this Republican Party? I've interviewed some of America's most recognisable politicians and celebrities too.
Hello there, welcome back. You're watching Ian King Live with me, Emma Crosby. Now, every year across Europe, tens of thousands of people are killed in road traffic accidents. Now, the European Union has set a target to halve the number of deaths and serious injuries on the roads by the end of the decade. Artificial intelligence could play a key role with the rise of driver monitoring systems. The Australian company Seeing Machines has announced a partnership with the Swedish startup Devont to improve vehicle safety. Well, with me now is the Chief Executive and the co-founder of Devont, Richard Bremer. Good to have you on the programme. I hope I'm pronouncing your company correctly. So the EU has a very ambitious target then to cut down on the number of road fatalities and injuries. I mean, is it possible to achieve that target, do you think, with new technology?
I definitely think that new technology will play a significant role in achieving that vision. And in-cabin monitoring systems, with the help of synthetic data and data in general, will play a very important role.
So why are driverless cars the answer then to fewer road accidents?
So I believe that the combination of autonomous cars and in-cabin monitoring systems in interaction will make sure that the driver can operate the vehicle in a more safe manner. I think the interaction between in-cabin monitoring systems and exterior sensing is really important and the key to make sure that we get safer transportation.
Okay, now Richard, you're in the business of human-centric synthetic data. So without going over our heads too much, what is that? Can you explain it in layman's terms?
So synthetic data is computer-generated data. And compared to collecting real data, it takes less time and it's less costly. And as with all systems that rely on artificial intelligence, you need to get access to a tremendous amount of high-quality data to make sure that you can get the performance that you're looking for. And that is, of course, even more important in life-critical systems like an in-cabin monitoring system.
Now, there's a forecast that there's going to be 62 million driverless cars by the year 2030, which is double the number that currently exist. Put that into context for us if you can. That number versus driver-led cars, is it still a small proportion or is that then going to become quite large?
Well, again, I think that when it comes to the combination of the two systems, that's what really will make the difference in the end. And the EU has mandated that all new cars in the European Union will have in-cabin monitoring systems installed in a few years as a standard safety feature. And that is to detect hazardous driver behavior like drowsiness and distraction. So in terms of reducing total number of accidents, what we focus on is primarily the in-cabin monitoring side.
Is there an issue with price point? Will these cars be more expensive?
So, of course, the technology will develop and we will have new features, but it's hard to say how the pricing point will develop when it comes to autonomous cars. But for us, in close collaboration with the in-cabin monitoring leader, Seeing Machines, we see that we will make sure that the system is as good as possible to prevent accidents.
And what about consumer appetite, Richard? Do you think people are ready for driverless cars?
So the thing with autonomous cars is that they are not ready yet. They are not there yet when it comes to reaching full autonomy. So I think that's really one of the key things here, that we need to take a cautious approach, not only to reaching full autonomy, but also to make sure that we step by step add more safety features to the in-cabin monitoring system.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Richard Bremner, the Chief Executive and Co-founder of Devont. Thanks so much for your time this morning here on Inc.
Thank you.
Let's just pause our business coverage to bring you some breaking news here on Sky News regarding Daniel Korski. He, of course, is the Conservative London mayoral candidate who has had an allegation of groping levelled against him. Well, a campaign spokesperson has just said in the last possible minutes, in the strongest possible terms, Dan categorically denies any allegation of inappropriate behaviour whatsoever. The spokesperson goes on to say he welcomes any investigation and he will cooperate fully. We'll bring you more on that when we have it. Okay, let's check in with the markets, the stock markets around the world, give you the update on where they are. This is the picture for you in Asia. The Nikkei closing up the day up 2% there at 33,193, and the Shanghai Composite having a pretty flat day, closing out at 31.89. Hang Seng ending the day just up 0.1%. In Europe, the market's well and truly underway, starting with the Paris and the German market, the DAX 40 trading higher ever so slightly by 0.7%. Similar picture in Paris, also to in Spain, with the MIB 30 up 0.3%. Sorry, that's the Italian one, isn't it? The IBEX 35 is up 0.5%. The Italian MIB 30 up 0.3%. The FTSE 100 also trading higher at this hour. There you go, up 0.5%. Onto the currencies for you now. Let's find out how the pound is faring against the dollar. It's falling against the dollar at this. It stayed down 0.3%. Also looking weaker against the euro, and the euro against the US dollar is pretty much flat. On to the oil market, find out how much a barrel of Brent crude will cost you. Again, it's pretty flat at this hour. It'll cost you $72.26. Let's try and make sense of those numbers in a bit more detail. With me now is Victoria Scholar, Head of Investments at Interactive Investor, joining us now. Good to see you, Victoria. Let's talk about the markets in a few minutes' time. I know there's some company news that's caught your attention. We always like to talk about when CEOs leave and join new companies. And I know that Revolution Beauty has got a new CEO. Tell us more.
Well, it's the same CEO that's been reappointed to the board. Revolution Beauty shares have surged by over 50% today, now that it's reinstated enough directors. And it comes after the reappointment, should I say, of the CEO, CFO, and the chairman as well. This is despite opposition from shareholders, including Boohoo, which has a 26.6% in the business. And so tensions are running pretty high between Revolution Beauty and Boohoo, which have different views on how to deal with the low-cost beauty brands' problems. So there's a lot of uncertainty ahead. Boohoo has described Revolution's reappointments to the board as cynical and short-sighted and misguided. But it comes after a pretty tough time for the business. It was forced to stop trading last September after BDO, its accountants, pointed to a potential irregularity in the numbers. So it hasn't been trading since then. Boohoo wanted to appoint its own choice of directors to the board. Revolution Beauty has gone against that shareholder vote and appointed back its own choice. But we have seen that the shares have absolutely surged today now that they're back trading on the AIM market. But to put it into context, they're still sharply lower than where they were when they IPO'd or floated on the stock market back in the summer of 2021.
Okay, good one to watch. We know that corporates usually really like celebrity tie-ups. They're usually good for business. It doesn't seem that's the case for Diageo right now.
No, that's right. It's ended its business relationship with Sean Combs, or P. Diddy, after the rapper said that the drinks giant had been neglecting his tequila brand and actually raised claims of racial discrimination. But Diageo has responded by saying that these are false and reckless allegations, and even said they are defamatory around the part about racism. So what we know so far is that Coombs's legal team have filed a suit last month suggesting that Diageo wasn't actually allocating enough resources to his brands compared to other celebrities. So the two sides now very much at loggerheads and could see themselves facing a lengthy legal battle ahead as Diageo looks to try to sever ties with De Leon, its joint venture with the rapper. But, you know, it's been a long-standing partnership. Diageo has worked with Coombs since 2007 when it helped to promote his well-known vodka brand, Ciroc.
And results out today from the luxury fashion brand Mulberry, Victoria. Weaker profits. How are the shares doing?
Well, we're actually seeing shares trading pretty well, which is surprising on first glance, given that its full year underlying pre-tax profit came in far short of last year, 2.5 million this year versus nearly 15 million a year ago. But investors are encouraged by its revenue, which is up by 4%, and its group sales in the first 12 weeks of this year look ahead of forecasts, up by about 6%. And there was particular strength in Asia Pacific, partly thanks to its new stores in Australia. So it feels as though investors are shrugging off this bottom line weakness because of its strong investment in the business, which may be weighing on its profitability for now, but arguably could result in a stronger performance down the line.
Okay, Victoria, thank you so much. We'll leave it there. Still to come this morning here on Ian King Live, the economics of war, a new report on what violence such as the war in Ukraine is costing the global economy. Do stay tuned.
by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination, or call 119 for free.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clemens, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination, or call 119 for free.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Orange is the brand new hydration drink developed with bold, thirst-quenching orange flavor to refresh and replenish. Orange was created to fill the void where great taste meets functionality. With bold, thirst-quenching orange flavor to help you refresh, replenish, and refuel.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination, or call 119 for free.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination or call 119 for free.
Broadcasting live online. Turn it on. Turn it up.
It's your man. Bekutu, show them you got the coco set. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Harry Song, aka Mr. Songs. This is the Kingmaker Baba for the girls. We're here. This is Star Radio. Don't go nowhere. UK, London. We they call them London for home. For here, we they call them London. And that's how you know. Just have fun and stay blessed.
Hi there, this is CJ Buckman, your life coach. And whenever I'm in London, I listen to Star Radio UK right here. But guess what? You can listen to wherever you are.
The best radio show. Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7.
All around the world. In your car.
At work.
At home.
On your smartphone.
iOrange is the brand new hydration drink developed with bold, thirst-quenching orange flavor to refresh and replenish. iOrange was created to fill the void where great taste meets functionality. With bold, thirst-quenching orange flavor to help you refresh, replenish, and refuel.
In your car.
At work.
At home.
On your smartphone. Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7.
All around the world. In your car.
At work.
At home.
On your smartphone.
This is
Star Radio UK.
Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, your heart is aching. Smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Hey, this is Archie and you are listening to Star Radio UK and the Morning Show.
This is Star Radio. This is UK. Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK.
Welcome. Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7.
Enlighten your day with Star Radio. Star Radio. Radio for the people, by the people.
Love for you runs deep.
they fade. Jesus, and that's what makes you great. You hold the world in your hands, the hand that made me who I am. Same God now, yesterday, and forevermore. And that's what makes you great. You are God. You will never change. You remain the same to the end. To the end. You are God. One who took my pain, took away my shame. Lord, you reign. That's why forever call you great. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. Greatly to be praised. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. Yes, I
Okay, let me say massive good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you, wherever you might be on planet Earth, and those of you on other planets as well. We salute each and every one of you, and we say welcome to the Wednesday edition of the morning show. All of you today happens to be the 28th day of June, the year 2023, with the time now 10:43 from the hearts of London. And it happens to be the Eid. So to all our Muslim viewers and listeners across the globe, and to my colleague Mr. Olayomi Koiki, and to the family Mo, I've got friends more in the UK, more in the US, and every one of you of the faith. Okay, I say happy Eid Mubarak, right? I got it, Eid Mubarak. But maybe you're listening to us and today you want to send a special greetings to anybody. Feel free to do so. Send it our way, and I promise you one thing for sure. I'm going to see to it that it's read. Now, whilst we are enjoying the celebration, as the authorities, the security agencies, they say, warning Nigerians, they said, keep an eye, be security conscious. But it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. And let me say good morning to my Bishop himself, Bishop Adesina. Massive good morning to you. To my able producer, Mr. Francis Guy, good morning to you. And to all the wonderful viewers and listeners across the globe, Anthony Adedeji Aziz, good morning. Sir Maxwell, good morning. Moyua, good morning to you. All of you listening to us in the UAE, oh my goodness. Massive good morning to you all. My brother Felix all the way in Aberdeen, massive good morning, bro. And then to Kojo D, good morning to you. I hope you guys are all doing great. And forevermore. So let me say it this way, all protocol observed, and once again welcome to the Wednesday edition of the morning show. If it is the first time of tuning in to listen to us on a Wednesday edition, this is how it's going to be. I'm going to bring you the quote for the day, the weather forecast will follow suit, then the travel update as well. We'll move on from there to have a look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe. It's known as Global Trotting. Then at 11 o'clock, we start bringing you some of the stories making the rounds from Nigeria. Unfortunately, due to the Eid, Olaimi Koike will not be with us because he has to go through all the prayer time and the festivities, so he's not going to be joining us today. But then from this we'll continue, and at 11:30 the lines will be open for you to add your voice to the discussions. We'll continue from there, and then until 12 o'clock when we bring the first part of the program to a close, where we'll be looking at what is happening in the House of Parliament with the PMQ today. Love for you runs deep. So Nigeria, that's what's going to happen. Then let me say good morning to my heart Mr. Malik Dramani Mahama. Malik, Eid Mubarak to you. And that's what makes you great. Okay, let's crack on. Now the question today says successful people are curious, willing to explore and dedicated to their interests. They are curious and willing to explore and dedicated to their interests. Someone was saying that this submersible that's the Titan submersible that went missing a week ago, where we found out that a few days after that, I think about same time, was it sometime last week? Was it Wednesday or Thursday when they were found? Apologies, when information came in through that it did implode and therefore they've lost their lives there. Someone was asking the question that why did they go onto that part? Because it cost them, you know how much it costs you to be on, let's say, 250,000 pounds or dollars, whichever it is. But you find out that those who are, successful, or yes, they are always curious. They want to find out some more. They are adventurous as well, you know. So I don't say that go and stand on the mountain and say you are jumping to see how whether maybe angels will be sent dispatched from heaven to come and help you land so that you don't dash your foot against the stone. Not that will, please, I beg you. All right then, so that's the way, by way of the quote for the day. It is Starr Radio UK. Now moving on straight to the weather front as well. I came in this morning, my producer was telling me, it looks like the weather is nice. I said, yeah, it's nicer than it's been of late. But well, let me give you details of what it's going to be. But maybe wherever you're listening to us from, tell us more about what is happening there. How is the weather? Okay, so this afternoon we'll have a cloudy start with isolated showers that gradually ease off. Now cloud will break later, allowing some sunny intervals. A warmer day suspended. Now tonight we'll see cloud build back in from the west. A band of showery rain will then move in, with the rain falling heavy and thundering in places. Now temperature is going to be 24 degrees and lower is going to be 16 degrees. Pollen level is going to be high, UV level low, and pollution low as well. Sunset 21, 22, and sunrise for tomorrow morning 04:45 hours. And that brings us to the end of the weather forecast. But this is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Love for you runs deep.
Let's take this quick commercial break and I'll be with you. Stay tuned, don't you go away.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination, or call 119 for free.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Okay, so keep your eyes on the roads. Keep your eyes on the roads. Also keep you navigated. I promise I'm on the Starr Radio UK travel up there, the country where we get from 10:40. It's now 10:49. Let's crack on. So what is happening on your travels this morning? You can share with us. Of course, we got a worldwide listenership and viewership, and therefore, wherever you might be, we have somebody there listening to us and therefore watching us, and that will be of benefit to the person. So share it, share it. But when it comes to what is happening here in the UK, especially in London and southeast of England, where I'm going to bring you some from, well, on the underground this morning, Circle Line is suspended, and it says that no service due to a customer incident at Sloane Square. Tickets valid on local buses. And then on the district line, there are part suspension. No service between Embankment and Elscott westbound due to customer incident at the Sloane Square as well. And on the Piccadilly line, there are minor delays between Acton Town and Heathrow Uxbridge due to a signal failure at Acton Town. Good service on the rest of the line though. That aside, all the others, good service there. DLR, London Tramlink, London Overground, good service there. But continue to keep your eyes on the roads. Keep your eyes on the roads. Also keep you navigated. I promise, our bond. Now, on the major roads in London, I can tell you, no exceptional delays there. You can zoom through it like no man's business, like a hot knife in a batter. But we'll move on to the river bus. On the river bus, as we did announce since Monday, yes, the Woolwich Ferry is having a reduced service. So check before you leave. That aside, all the others, good service. But keep your eyes on the roads. Keep your eyes on the roads. Also keep it navigated. I promise, our bond. Now, moving on to the London cable car, and I can tell you shortly, good service there as well. Now, final segment of the travel update, and that is the National Rail. But the question is, what is happening on the National Rail this morning? Chiltern Railways, Cross Country, East Midlands, Gatwick Express, Great Western Railway have all got minor delays. And then on Island Line has got special service. We got Merseyrail, Southwestern Railway, Southern Thames Link, all having minor delays as well. And you know me, I would say it as it is. All the others have good service. But other side, as I would say, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth. You know what? Enjoy your coming for today, but keep those eyes on the roads.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination, or call 119 for free. Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination, or call 119 for free.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it, you're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR, S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Looking for a new way to stay refreshed and hydrated? Look no further than iRange Hydration Drink. iRange is perfect for any situation where you need a little pick-me-up. It's low in calories and has a delicious orange flavor that you will love. So don't wait any longer. Grab a can of iRange today and start enjoying the refreshing. Buy online at irange.co.uk.
Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, bringing the time now to 10:55. That's 5 minutes to the top of the hour. Okay, so let's move on to some of the stories making the rounds this morning across the globe. But after this short break, yes, just bear with me, short break.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination, or call 119 for free.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it, you're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR, S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medase.
Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, and it is Wednesday edition of the morning show. And as we did say, happy Eid to every one of our Muslim listeners, wherever you might be. We wish you all a very, very good celebration. Okay, yes, wherever you might be, but share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Okay, so let's move on to some of the other stories making the rounds, or the stories making the rounds across the globe today. Don't you worry, I'll bring you all the details that you need to know there. Now, when it comes to some of the stories, we're going to be looking in Nigeria, 2023 poll. Now, INEC, EU observers disagree over conduct of presidential election, and that's a big one. So, we're going to be looking into details at that. Okay, I'll be telling you more about that in a moment. And then the CBN set daily transaction limit for contactless payments. So let's see what happens on that front. And then Lagos government begins proof of ownership enforcement in July. Subsidy removal. 101 million Nigerians may become poor. That's what the World Bank is saying. But does the government actually, is the government looking at that? Or are they just getting on with whatever they want to do? Well, it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. Currency in circulation up by 200 billion naira in 5 months. Yes, I will be telling you more about that. Now, when it comes to some of the other stories making the rounds in other parts of the world, African leaders meet in Angola to discuss East DRC tension. It's one of the stories making the rounds there, and we're going to be talking about that. And Sierra Leone, Julius Maada Bio re-elected for second term, but the opponents are crying foul. All right then. In Ghana, well, the game was on, and the NDC's candidate has won the election. So we'll be telling you more about that as well. Yes, it is all coming away from Starr Radio UK. And also, when it comes to the UK front, what is happening here? Countdown has begun. Okay, in other parts of the world, the Ukrainians are thinking that countdown has begun for the end of the war for Putin. There's a countdown has begun to end of Putin. It says Kyiv officials, and I bet you, the Russians have been bombing Ukraine more than they've ever done. And let me take this opportunity to say good morning to one of my lovely sisters who have just entered the premises, Sister Grace. Let me say morning to her. I hope that she's doing very, very well. Yes. Okay, listeners. So now let's just quickly have a look at a couple of other stories, and then we'll move on from there as well. Now, 26 among 10 killed by Russian strikes on Kramatorsk. The sisters have been named as the 14-year-olds Yulia and Anna Akenchenko. All right, and so those are stories making the rounds there. When it comes to the UK front, illegal trade in AI child sex abuse images have been exposed, and students furious as degree results are withdrawn. Why have they been withdrawn? And when it comes to other stories as well, senior doctors back strike action in England. This is a lot more going to be coming your way. Okay, my Bishop Adesina, thank you very much. You were saying earlier on that the sound wasn't coming through, but now you can hear it. Thank you. I love that when you are able to give us a feedback of how we are performing, and we apologize for the sound in the background, because it seems that because the AC are not working the way they're supposed to, so there's a bit of noise in the background. But I hope that you are bearing with us. Thank you very, very much. Let's enjoy this song, and then we'll come back to you. Stay tuned, don't touch the dial. This is Everlasting to Everlasting from Theodora Gospel.
worship you. I'll lift you high. We bow before your throne. Oh, great I am, omnipotent, King of kings, and Lord of lords. We worship you and lift you high. Your kingdom spreads from age to age, from everlasting to everlasting. There is no one like you. We worship you, Lord. We worship you high. To reign on kingdom spread from age to age, everlasting to everlasting. There is no one like you. We worship you, Lord. We worship you high. For you, O Lord, are the creator who was not created, King who has no successor, flower that never fades. Abba, Father, we worship you. Thy kingdom come. Thy kingdom come. Oh Lord. We call you Emmanuel. Emmanuel. You are the first and the last, the Alpha and Omega. That's why we bow down and worship you. And we lift you high above all. And lift you high. Kingdom spread from age to age, everlasting to everlasting. There is no one like you. We worship you, Lord. We worship you high. You're the King forever. Kingdom spread from age to age.
Well, it is Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. On this Wednesday morning here in London, well, the time is just gone 5 minutes past the top of the hour. And as I did say, due to the Eid celebrations, we're not going to have Mr. Olaimi Koike with me this morning. So, he sent me a few of the story that's making the headlines that I'm going to be discussing or be sharing with you. However, as my bishop does all the time, if you have any other information that is going on, you want to bring it to the forum, why not? Feel free and bring it to the forum. Okay, so starting from Niger, but that will be after this quick commercial break.
Hi, I'm Ade Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination or call 119 for free.
Okay, welcome back to the program Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Okay, so when it comes to the story, it's making the rounds. Now, INEC, that is pertaining to the 2023 polls, and the INEC and EU observers disagree over conduct of presidential election. And what are the details pertaining to that? And will this actually make, because there is a case, there is a tribunal that is sitting, will that turn the results around or annul the election that took place, the presidential one at all? So let me bring you details of it. The European Union Election Observer Mission to the 2023 general election in Nigeria, that is the EU EOM, declared yesterday that the February 25th presidential election was marred due to multiple failures by the Independent National Electoral Commission. Now, according to the EU, the operational failures on the part of INEC were due to operational deficiencies and lack of transparency, among others. But in a swift reaction to the EU report, INEC defended the conduct of the 2023 polls, insisting that irrespective of the challenges, there were many positives in the election. They don't talk about the flaws, they are talking about the positives as well. The EU chief observer and head of the delegation, Barry Andrews, told a news conference in Abuja while presenting the mission final report on the election that the election exposed enduring systemic weakness and therefore signal a need for further legal and operational reforms to enhance transparency, inclusiveness, and accountability. Now, although he noted some improvement in the conduct of the election, especially the deployment of technology such as the biometric voter accreditation system, that the BVS, and the INEC results viewing portals, he, however, lamented that the 2023 general election did not ensure a well-run, transparent, and inclusive democratic process as assured by INEC. I remember when the INEC boss came to the UK, and was he in the, I've forgotten the place that normally when they come they go to, and then he made a presentation there and was talking about how well prepared the election is going to be and everything that they're going to be seeing to it, that everything takes along nicely. But that doesn't know. They're talking about the transmission of the results on the viewing portals, which we didn't get that. So interesting there. What do you think about all that? My Bishop Adesina, once again, good morning. He says the World Bank approved $500 million loan for Nigeria federal government of Tinubu administration for women affairs in Nigeria. How is it going to be helping the women at all? That's one question that should be on the lips of most people. You know, interestingly, we have all our political leaders going around asking for money or begging for loans that these people will then give us, and they will say, well, are we getting value for money? Or maybe we're taking it to construct maybe some project, something of the sort. And then the next moment, nothing of the sort seems to be happening. And what do we see? What do we see? All that we see is that accountability. So at the end of the day, you take evaluation of what has been done, and you find out that whatever the money was taken for, we didn't get anything for that at all. But well, so let's see how $500 million is going to help improve for women to improve women's life in Nigeria. Women's lives in Nigeria. My bishop goes on to say, should Nigeria government go collecting loans for a gender program? What is wrong with Nigeria? Now, why should World Bank consider such a baseless loan? And that's the question. What are they using? I mean, how is it going to empower them? Is it giving them money to go and trade? How is it actually going to empower them? You see, we go take some of these loans and then they are misappropriated. So whatever they were supposed to have been used for, it's not going to be that. But it ends up that the nation or the citizens will have to cough up and pay for it. What do you think about all that? Coming your way from Starr Radio UK, updates from Nigeria, and those are some of the stories making the round there. And then CBN says daily transaction limit. So for the contactless payments, well, the Central Bank of Nigeria has imposed a maximum daily transaction limit of 50,000 naira for contactless payment. Politics in Nigeria reports that a circular release on Tuesday and signed by Musa Jimo, the director of CBS Payments System Management Department, the Apex Bank, emphasized the need for verification and authorization for transactions that surpass the specified limit due to the associated risks of contactless payments. And I agree with them, because here in the UK even there is policy like that. So during the lockdown, now before the lockdown, you could do contactless too, up to I think £30. Then they brought it to 40, then 50, and now it's been brought to up to 100. So that at least if it goes beyond that, then even at times it's not necessarily. But if I go to one shop, buy something contactless, and I go to another one, maybe, by the time I'm going to the third one, they will not. Though I've not hit my limit yet, they will halt the transaction. They will try to monitor it to see what is happening there, so that if I approve it, I put a pin in, they know that okay, I'm the same person who is using or doing that transaction. So I think it's a good one there. All right then, but how many Nigerians have got that, and have they how have they deployed these mechanisms or systems to be able for people to use this contactless system in Nigeria? Cashless society, my goodness. Now, Lagos government begins proof of ownership enforcement in July. Proof of ownership of what? That's the question this morning. It says the Lagos state governor has said it will begin the implementation of federal government directive on annual vehicle proof of ownership in July. So if you have a car, if you own a car today, next year they're going to come to you and you have to prove that you still own the car. But if you sold it, don't they give you here we have a document that is sent from the BVLA, the logbook that shows that there's been that transaction, so the vehicle has changed hands. Okay, all right, or ownership, or whoever is keeping it. Okay, but the federal government has introduced a fee of 1,000 naira to be paid by all motorists annually for proof of ownership certificate verification. Why? Now, well, okay. Now, speaking on Tuesday at a joint news conference in Alusa, Ikeja, on Tuesday, the permanent secretary, Lagos State Ministry of Transport, Abdul Hafiz Tariola, said the state government will begin the implementation of the initiative in July. Now, Tariola noted that the initiative was aimed at streamlining and enhancing the process of vehicle ownership verification through the annual proof of ownership certificate in compliance with legal requirements fundamental to transparency, security, accountability within the transport network. Would you do that? That doesn't make any sense at all. Because once I buy the vehicle and I register the vehicle, it's registered. Okay, annually, what we do here, we pay for road tax. And that road tax will only be issued to you when your car has undergone the MOT, and then you have an insurance covering it. Then you can get your road tax. Okay, so that three work together. But so you have an insurance, and you have your what do you call it? Whether the car has been done gone through MOT to check whether it's motorable or roadworthy. Yeah, and then you pay for your road tax for using the road. So that's three, and that shows you I don't necessarily have to own the vehicle, but that shows that I am the one who is keeping the vehicle. But I don't know why they are doing that. Okay, now Bishop Edison says that, well, breaking news that has come through as well. Motorcon commander Mr. David Aken Remy of Ogun State is dead. Oh my goodness. Oh, he died today, the 6th, that's the 28th of June, 10:38 a.m. Bishop Adesina, another breaking Brigadier General Omale Abraham is also dead. We say may their souls rest in perfect peace, and to their families as well, our condolences to you all who have lost loved ones. Okay, it is all coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, the World Bank has made an assessment pertaining to the withdrawal of fuel subsidy by the federal government, and the World Bank is saying that Nigeria has one of the highest inflation rates, which has pushed around 4 million people into poverty between January and May 2023. So, apart from those who were already in poverty, this has pushed a further 4 million into poverty. It also said about 7.1 million Nigerians will become poorer if the federal government will not compensate or provide palliatives for them due to fuel subsidy removal. And I've said this time and time and over again that I'm of the belief that it should be means tested. So if the one who is driving the commercial vehicle for the day, he knows that he has to apply is it Oworoshonki? You know, I've been to Oworoshonki before. I know Oworoshonki to Ikeja. So that trip, so that's what he does throughout the day. At the end of the week, he brings his voucher to you for the payment, and then it's refunded. Okay, so those who are crossing the borders to take the fuel, because they say that they fill their tanks or whatever, to take the fuel outside, will be stopped, or they are not going to be getting anything for that. They have to pay the high price, which will then make it unprofitable, and therefore they will not be able to do it, or will not want to continue with that. But I don't know why they're not looking at that. All that they are doing is a blanket ban. Okay, we're taking the fuel subsidy, and those who are poor will be suffering. Okay, Starr Radio UK. But when they call for increment in their wages, the government is not forthcoming. And even if the federal government says, well, there's going to be an increment, some states cannot afford to pay. So it's neither here or there. But well, we hope that they are listening in and they'll pick up and do something good. In a data released by the financial institution, 89.8 million Nigerians were poor as at the beginning of 2023, as it also stated that additional 4 million Nigerians became poor between January and May 2023, raising the figure to 93.8 million Nigerians who are poor. It is sad. The latest projection means that the number of poor Nigerians will rise to 100 million if the government fails to compensate vulnerable citizens for fuel subsidy removal. Is it that they've not got a system that will be able to do what we are talking about? That means testing, making sure that these people who need the help are getting it. And if I've got my 4x4 SUV, a guzzler, and I want to drive up and down, whatever, I pay the high price for it because I can afford. Well. It's a sad one. The Consumer Price Index accelerated in 2023 through May up to 22.4% over a year. High inflation has been driven by the monetization of the fiscal deficit by the CBN, multiple exchange rates and exchange rate depreciation in the parallel market, and intensified trade restrictions, exacerbated by the spike in global food and energy prices. The CBN implemented measures to control rising inflation, including raising the monetary policy rate by 700 basis points. But this proved ineffective, and monetary policy remained loose overall in the first half of the year. The loss of purchasing power from high inflation has increased poverty in the short term, pushing an estimated 4 million Nigerians into poverty between January and May 2023. A very, 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 very sad one there. But some will say, if the government does not continue with that, what happens then? Okay, now let's come to one story from here relating to Ekweremadu's wife, and then we will move on from there. And once again, let me say good morning to my colleague and co-presenter, Mr. Olayomi Koiki. Yes, I know because of the Eid, he's celebrating with the family. I'll catch up later. Now, the organ trafficking, UK to release Ekweremadu's wife. Details have emerged as Ohanize makes fresh move. The story says more appeals have begun to seek the release of Senator Ike Ekweremadu and his wife Beatrice from UK prison. The couple were jailed after being convicted of organ trafficking and other related offenses. Southeast Apex Socio-Cultural Group Ohanize Ndigbo Worldwide has joined other prominent bodies seeking the release of Ekweremadu. They are ongoing moves by Dohinze worldwide to secure the release of the jailed former Deputy Senate President Ike Kremadu from a UK prison. The UK Metro Police arrested the embattled lawmaker and his wife for an offence of organ trafficking. It's one of the stories making the rounds, but how is it all going to be panning out for them? Is a big question on the lips of most people. And let me say good morning to Okoye Afolayan. Yes, good morning to Joe. I hope you are doing very, very well. Thank you very much for joining us today. The White Lion is enjoying himself. He's enjoying himself this morning, so please allow him. So today, this evening today, it's not going to be the Niger Voices, but we promise you tomorrow is going to be on, and then next week, God willing, we'll bring you Niger Voices. So just bear with us. My bishop once again says Nigeria government is not sincere about any issue. The marketers also complain the NNPC never paid subsidy to anyone for 4 years till now. So they have been selling at outright price till now. Oh my goodness. Therefore, what subsidy is the government removing? It was an empty statement to prove fuel price in Nigeria. My goodness. Wow. Maybe that's why they're not doing that maintenance thing that we're talking about, because the money didn't actually go to the place at all. So the vendors were just selling it at the price that they've got. No subsidy from government at all. Nothing of the sort. My goodness. Well, it's not coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. One other story, and then we'll move straight to other stories making the rounds. We'll bring the first part of the updates from Nigeria to a close from there. Now, interestingly, gains in oil, gas stocks raise capitalization by 421 billion naira. Now, gains recorded by almost all the blue chip stocks, especially Seplat Energy and Total Energies and the Nigerian Exchange Limited, sustained a rising profile of the capital market yesterday as market capitalization rose further by 421 billion naira. Accordingly, the all shares index ASI gained by 772.98 points, representing a growth of 1.3% to close at 60,108.86 points. Also, market capitalization gained 421 billion to close at 32.73 trillion naira. The upturn was impacted by gains recorded in medium and large capitalized stocks, amongst which are Seplat Energy, Total Energies, Marketing Nigeria, MTN Nigeria Communications, and the MTNN Transcorp Hotel and Connoy. Well, so all this profit, all this money that has been made, the common Nigerian or the ordinary Nigerian is going to ask the question, how does that better or profit me as well? Oh my goodness. Well. And Okoye says Koike is our great man. We are going to miss him this morning. Yes, unfortunately, but don't you worry. Tomorrow he's going to be in, God willing. That's why he gave me all this information to share with you. And you can also share yours there, as Bishop Adeshina has also shared some of the stories that is making the rounds there. But listeners, this is why I bring the first part of the updates from Nigeria to close, because it's a Wednesday edition of the morning show, and you know that we're finishing exactly at 12 o'clock to take you to the House of Parliament for the Prime Minister's question time. So now we just take a quick commercial break, and once I come back, I take you to other parts of the world to look at some of the stories making the rounds this morning. Stay tuned, don't you go away.
Looking for a new way to stay refreshed and hydrated? Look no further than iRange Hydration Drink. iRange is perfect for any situation where you need a little pick-me-up. It's low in calories and has a delicious orange flavor that you will love. So don't wait any longer. Grab a can of iRange today and start enjoying the refreshing. Buy online at irange.co.uk.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination, or call 119 for free.
This is the morning show with Archie.
Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Yo, what's up, people? This is a boy Raskin Bobo One. Tune in every day, every night at the Starr Radio UK with the big man them Archie. When I say Arta, you say fire.
Okay, welcome back to the program. Wednesday edition of the morning show. You know, we start pressed with time, but we make sure we deliver on it. Now, Okoye says a happy Salah to Mr. Koiki and the Akogan of media in Yoruba land. Okay, what's the meaning of Akogan? Is it the big wig or the big boss of media in Yoruba land? Okay, a good one there, Okay, thank you very, very much. All right, now let's look at some of the stories making the rounds in other parts of the world. This time around, let's go straight to other parts of Africa and let's see what is happening there. Now, when it comes to Muslims prepare for Tabaski feast, bemoan high prices. Now, it's not only there because I remember that on Monday the imams or the chief imams were talking about the fact in Nigeria that people should not go borrowing to make sure they go and buy all this ram and whatever during these festivities. And I was asking the question, are they going to be a way so that people who also want to go about celebrating will have a bit of, they can at least they come to the mosques and then they can have their families there and they can have something so that we have a communal meal. What about that? So maybe something of the sort can be done as well. But it's not only peculiar to Nigeria. The Ivorians are crying about it. Ghanaians, Muslims are also crying about the whole situation that is ongoing there. Well, let's move on. Now, the president of the United African Union considered today the deterioration of the situation in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo destabilizes the country and defended efforts to make the country a source of happiness and not of conflict. Azali Assoumani, who was speaking at the opening of the quadripartite summit of heads of states and government on the pacification of Eastern DR Congo taking place in Luanda, said the prevailing situation is a concern of the region, the continent, and the rest of the world. The deterioration of the humanitarian and security situation in the territory of DRC is destabilizing this country, he said. Now, he goes on further to say, stressing the crisis is particularly worrying as it occurs in a territory with many undeniable economic and human riches. Now, for the acting president of the African Union, the destabilization in Eastern DRC could lead all of Africa on the same path, thus defending the intensification of joint and active action to reach solutions in favor of a peaceful and prosperous Congo. But what I think is going to happen there is quite an interesting one. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Will the EU or the AU do anything about it? With some sanctions on this group? But the group are going to tell you that the M20, the M25, they are not M23. Apologies. They are not a country. You cannot do anything. They are fighting. So do we get AU troops to go there to do what? Okay, so maybe join will be the way forward. And are we going to be seeing anything of the sort? It's quite interesting. We're following very, 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 very closely. Moving on to other stories making the rounds on the African continent. Now, Sierra Leone's president, Julius Maada Bio, was re-elected to serve a second term with 56.17% of the vote, the head of Electoral Commission said on Tuesday, prompting the runner-up to categorically reject the results. Now, Bio's main challenger, Samura Kamara, who came second with 41.16% of the vote, according to final results, announced in Freetown, branded the result not credible. Now, I categorically reject the outcome so announced by the Electoral Commission, he said on Twitter, quote and unquote. Now, vote tallying had already been disputed by Kamara's All Progressive Congress, which condemned in a statement on Monday an alleged lack of inclusiveness transparency and responsibility by the Electoral Commission. The party pointed to the lack of information about which polling station or district the ballots were coming from. So they just keep on bringing some ballot box. Where is this one from? Oh, it's one of those. They are still supposed to be here, and they are bringing it your way. My goodness. Interesting one. The party pointed out that now it had said it will not accept these fake and cooked up results. In a later statement, the party alleged overvoting in some areas and said it continues to reject the fabricated results and reaffirms our victory. That's their victory. But BO supporters welcomed the result. I'm happy BO won. We want him to fix the economy and create jobs, Susan Meyers, 34, said. And Musa Toli, 27, said she was happy because her president was just re-elected. He's doing great things for this country. He's fighting corruption. But I asked a question yesterday or the day before that Kamara, why didn't they get somebody who's younger? Maybe a younger person with a fresh ideas. People would have, lean towards him rather than a 72-year-old man. Everybody think that, well, you are an ex-military officer, you took over, whatever. Now they think that your time actually, our time, it's not necessarily that, but the incumbents do everything possible to outwit their opponents. And maybe that's what has happened. I've not seen any evidence of anything of the sort though. But what I would say is that well, another election and foul crying has already commenced. This is Starr Radio UK. This is the morning show, the Wednesday edition. I am Archie. Okay, some other stories making the round this morning. There's some trivial ones that I'm not going to be touching on though. The NDC provisional result versus EC official results. I'm going to be trying to look at both. It's quite an interesting one. But 5 key reasons Judge Kwesi defeated Charles Opoku MPP. The MPP were sure that they were going to win the election. Some of those who were looking at what we call it, various polls or the pollsters who are assessing the election were of the view that it's just a matter of and it's too close to call and stuff like that. However, we saw that the results coming in yesterday night when I was studying, viewing or listening to what was going on in Ghana. It was quite an interesting one. But with political parties increasingly relying on their own correlation of results, the last 2 by-elections have seen them display their capacity and capability in the area. In Kumewu last month, the New Patriotic Party collated and declared their results before the Electoral Commission did the formal declaration. Senate saw both parties setting up coalition centers, but it was the National Democratic Congress which rolled out figures progressively from its center as polling station results came in. The NDC, barely 3 hours after the close of polls, were projecting a win for candidate James Jachie Kwesi. The NDC said the MP-elect had pulled 17,205 votes, representing 57.4% of valid votes cast. His main contender, Charles Opoku of the MPP, got 11,389 votes, representing 42% of valid votes cast per their tallies. A third candidate, the Liberal Party of Ghana, got 85, that is 0.28% of the votes. Now, Judge Kwesi was announced the winner after the Electoral Commission of Ghana declared him as the Member of Parliament elect. According to the Electoral Commission's announcement, James Judge Kwesi garnered a total of 17,245. So the NDC tallying falls short of 40. So where did that 40 come from? So you look at both of them who say they've got the various parties that have got the call it correlation systems in place to collect it. So this is just let me put it this way, a by-election for just one constituency. So can you just imagine if it is a nationwide election, a general election, and it's taking place, and you end up losing 40 or 100 and whatever it is in various constituencies, and by the time you tally it all together, what is it going to be? So how did the Electoral Commission come by this 40 extra for James Gyakye Quayson, the NDC's candidate or the MP elect? It says that going by the figures from both outfits, it's clear that the NDC coalition was watertight and that the system put in place was robust enough to deliver polling stations outcomes in a timeous manner. Now, analysts, however, warn that this is for one constituency, but the parties will now have to focus on rolling out a system to collect 2 levels of results come 2024, the national presidential vote and 275 parliamentary results. The by-election in Asin North was held to fill the parliamentary seat left vacant following a legal battle that questioned Quayson's eligibility to hold office due to a dual citizenship concern. So this all can be away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. So is there going to be any what do we call it, action from the courts pertaining to Gyakye Quayson once again? But well, the Supreme Court of Asin North have spoken. Opariado celebrates Gyakye Quayson's win. The national organizer of the opposition National Democratic Congress has commended the constituents of Asin North in the central region for voting for the party's candidate James Gyakye Quayson on Tuesday's by-election. Now, speaking, George Opariado expressed confidence in their candidate even before the official declaration of the results by the Electoral Commission. We have comfortably won the election. The Supreme Court of Asin North has spoken to the Supreme Court of Ghana that they will prefer Gyakye Quayson as their member of parliament, he said. So the question is, what is going to happen to Gyakye Quayson? This follows the Supreme Court ruling which declared the election of James Gyakye Quayson in 2020 as MP for Asin North in the central region as unconstitutional. Supreme Court full judgment from the basis for the removal of James Gyakye Quayson's name from the record of parliament. Now, when asked what led to the party's victory, Mr. Addo stated that the candidate they presented was likable candidate, adding that his good works in the constituency spoke on his behalf. He added that the party and Asin North constituents were solidly behind Mr. Quayson because they believe the Supreme Court verdict was unfair. He added that the Supreme Court's mishap could only be corrected by sending him back to Parliament to represent the people of Asin North. The good people of Asin North saw persecution instead of prosecution, and the injustice that was being meted out to Gyakye Quayson motivated the rank and file of our party. So everybody was out there to work for Gyakye Quayson, he said. All right then. So that's the end of that story. It's making the rounds in Ghana. We have to move on to other parts of the world as well, as we've got only 20 minutes to go to the House of Parliament for the PMQ that's going to be taking place today. But to every one of you celebrating the Eid Fitr, I say Eid Mubarak, okay? At times I get it wrong. I don't know. I'm saying Eid Fitr. I don't know which one is which one. But yes, as Ghana, they will say Happy Salah. All right? Well, interesting times never ceases when it comes to Trump. Okay. Yes. Now, Donald Trump's counter sues writer Jane Carroll for defamation. Now, former U.S. President Donald Trump has sued the writer Jane Carroll for defamation, alleging she falsely accused him of rape after a jury found he sexually abused her. Last month, the civil jury in New York found he sexually abused and defamed the columnist, but did not rape her. Mr. Trump's claim, filed on Tuesday, relates to comments Ms. Carroll made on CNN a day after the verdict. When asked about Mr. Trump's liability for rape, she said, "Oh yes, he did." The claim is seeking a retraction of that comment, as well as unspecified compensation and punitive damages. A lawyer for Ms. Carroll said the filing was nothing more than his latest effort to delay accountability for the verdict on 9th of May. Now, Ms. Carroll has filed 2 separate lawsuits against the former president. One went to trial last month, which is when the jury found Mr. Trump liable for sexually abusing the magazine columnist in a department store in the 1990s and defaming her when she went public with a claim in 2019. She was awarded almost $5 million in damages, $5 million, of course. Mr. Trump is appealing against the verdict, and he asked for a new trial. Interesting. Donald. All right. He's our Donald, isn't he? Okay. Moving on straight. Anger in Paris after police kill a teen in a traffic stop. Oh gosh, they shouldn't bring that. A protest and unrest erupted in Paris region overnight after police shot dead a 17-year-old who failed to stop when ordered by traffic police. Now, video circulating on social media shows a police officer pointing a gun at the driver of a car before a gunshot is heard. The car then crashed to a stop. The teenager, named as Niall M., died of bullet wounds in the chest despite help from emergency service. The officer accused of shooting him has been detained in homicide charges. Now, the shooting triggered a series of protests on Tuesday night in Nanterre, the area just west of Paris, where the teenager was killed. Some 31 people were arrested following the disorder. Niall M. is the second person this year in France to have been killed in a police shooting during traffic stop. Last year, a record 13 people died in this way. According to French media, police initially suggested the teen drove his car towards them with the intention of hurting them, but footage posted online verified by the AFP news agency tells a different story. It shows 2 officers at the vehicle. One points his weapon at the driver through the window and appears to fire at point blank range as he tries to drive off. The agency also reports that a person in the video can be heard saying, "You're going to be shot in the head," but it's unclear who says it. 2 others were in the car at the time of the shooting. One fled while another, also a minor, was arrested and held by police. The incident sparked anger and disorder overnight, with cars and rubbish bins set alight, bus shelters destroyed. Fireworks were also set off near the police station. Riot's police used tear gas to break up protesters, some of whom created barricades throughout the night. And that's why some of the stories that have made the rounds here in the UK. It is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, one other story, and then we come to the UK front. And this time round, the assessment of Ukrainians on events that took place last Saturday. Okay, so it says that attention in the Ukrainian capital has been fixed squarely on the mutiny of the Wagner group. Its leader, Yevgeny Prigozhin, and its consequences for Vladimir Putin and the conduct of the war in Ukraine. The drama over the border in Russia has hardened the view of Kyiv that Mr. Putin's time as Russia's president is coming to an end. "I think countdown has started," said Andriy Yermak, President Zelensky's closest advisor. At a briefing in Kyiv, he looked back to the year that Russia first invaded Ukraine, annexing the Crimean Peninsula. What Ukraine has since has seen since 2014 has become evident for the entire world, said Mr. Yermak. Now, this Russia is a terrorist country whose leader is an inadequate person who has lost connection with reality. The world must conclude that it's impossible to have any kind of serious relationship with the country. Now, senior Ukrainian official who spoke to the BBC also argued that President Putin could not write out a catastrophic loss of authority. They said, with this disastrous decision to mount a full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February last year, the Wagner mutiny, Mr. Prigozhin's denunciation of the Kremlin justification of the war, have, they said, removed what remained of Mr. Putin's chance of hanging on. The Putin regime, one of them insisted, cannot be saved. But what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen there? It is All Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well. Let's take a quick commercial break and then we will go to some of the stories making the rounds here in the UK. Stay tuned.
Looking for a new way to stay refreshed and hydrated? Look no further than iRange Hydration Drink. iRange is perfect for any situation where you need a little pick-me-up. It's low in calories and has a delicious orange flavor that you will love. So don't wait any longer. Grab a can of iRange today and start enjoying the refreshing. Buy online at irange.co.uk.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination or call 119 for free.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Welcome back to the program. Yes, 10 minutes. Let me just touch on a couple of stories and then we will move on from there. Take you straight to the House of Parliament where the Prime Minister is going to have his time with the opposition leader, Sakia Starmer there. But now let's quickly move on and look at some of the events here in the UK. An estimated 700,000 children are being taught in unsafe or aging school buildings in England that need major repairs, according to a report. The National Audit Office says the Department of Education has since 2021 assessed the risk of injury or death from a school building collapse as very likely and critical. Now, teachers have told the BBC about risks posed by sewage leaks and asbestos. The DFE says it has been significantly investing in transforming schools. An official said nothing is more important than safety at school, and the department had allocated more than £15 billion since 2015 to keep schools safe and operational. But the NAO, the UK's independent public spending watchdog, said its risks had not been addressed because of years of underfunding. It said the deteriorating condition of a school building was damaging people's attainment and teacher retention. This is all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Okay, so now let's move on to some other stories making the rounds this morning. Starr, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Will you take your child to a school where you know for sure that there's raw sewage leak and there's asbestos in the building? What would you do? Okay. Now, government is prepared for a range of scenarios amid Thames water collapse. The government has said it's prepared for a range of scenarios following reports that Thames water could be on the brink of a collapse. The ministers declined to comment on the company situation, but said regulator Ofwat monitored the financial position of all water firms. Thames Water has been under pressure over its performance and is reportedly struggling under a £14 billion debt pile. How? The business is here to comment on the speculation, though. The business is here to comment on the speculation. Thames Water, whatever happens to Thames Water, which is the UK's biggest water firm, providing water for 15 million people in London and the southeast, its water supplies will continue uninterrupted. Information coming through that the company is in talks with ministers and Ofwat about contingency plans for the business. One option will be replacing Thames Water in the special administration regime, which will see it temporarily taken over by the government. This route was most recently taken with energy supply Bulb after it ran into financial difficulties. That's why the managing director or the CEO has resigned. Was it this morning that I came by that story? But those are some of the stories making the rounds. A final one, and then we go, and this time around, illegal trade in AI child sex abuse images. Now, pedophiles are using artificial intelligence technology to create and sell lifelike child sexual abuse materials. Now, some are accessing the images by paying subscription to accounts on mainstream content sharing sites such as Patreon. Now, Patreon said it had a zero tolerance policy about such imagery on its site. The National Police Chief Council said it was outrageous that some platforms were making the huge profits but not taking moral responsibility. And the GCHQ, the Government Intelligence, Security and Cyber Agency, has responded to the report saying child sexual abuse offenders adopt all technologies, and some believe the future of child sexual abuse material lies in AI generated content. The makers of the abuse images are using AI software called Stable Diffusion, which was intended to generate images for use in art or graphic designs. This is all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, and this is where I bring the program to a close. I'm going to take a break, and I'll bring you a lovely tune that I've lined up for all our Muslim fans who are watching us and celebrating the Eid today. So wherever you are, don't even think of touching the dial, because I got something up my sleeve for you, and I'm going to be bringing it your way. So stay tuned. Let's take this quick commercial break, and I'll be with you.
Looking for a new way to stay refreshed and hydrated? Look no further than iRange Hydration Drink. iRange is perfect for any situation where you need a little pick-me-up. It's low in calories and has a delicious orange flavor that you will love. So don't wait any longer. Grab a can of iRange today and start enjoying the refreshing. Buy online at irange.co.uk.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online, at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination or call 119 for free.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR, S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Vedase.
Okay, listeners, let me say thank you very much for a wonderful time that we've had together. My bishop, additional, let me say thank you very much for all the information that you shared with us this day, and to every one of our Muslim viewers and listeners, we wish you all happy Eid, and to all others, yes, wherever you are, I pray that you have a wonderful and a great day. And as we saw on this platform, may Nigeria not happen to you or to your family or to your loved ones. Enjoy this song. It's a Eid Mubarak song. Okay, I don't understand it, but I know I picked it up, so enjoy it, and I see you all tomorrow, God willing. Bye bye for now.
Eid Mubarak, Mubarak, Eid Mubarak, Mubarak, Eid Mubarak, Mubarak, Eid Mubarak.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening.
खुशबू लगा के शिकन खा के हाथों में हम अपनी मेहंदी लगा के मांगेंगे ईदी कहेंगे ये हम प्यारी मामा प्यारे बाबा ईद मुबारक छप 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 ईद मुबारक प्यारी मामा प्यारे बाबा ईद मुबारक छप 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 ईद मुबारक टोनी पहन के काजल लगा के
Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening.
टोनी पहन के काजल लगा के माथे पे हम अपने टीका सजा के मांगेंगे ईद कहेंगे ये हम प्यारी नानी प्यारी दादी ईद मुबारक छप 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 ईद मुबारक प्यारी नानी प्यारी दादी ईद मुबारक छप 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 ईद मुबारक
Mubarak Eid Mubarak, Mubarak Eid Mubarak.
Childcare more affordable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Almost 90,000 food parcels were given to children in Scotland last year, and the Trussell Trust Hunger in Scotland report showed that single parents make up only 2% of the population, but 17% of those who have gone hungry. This is about insufficiency of income, but the adult rate of benefits should be restored to single parents under 25 on universal credit. There's a practical way for the UK Government to support. Does the Minister agree?
Mr. Speaker, I recognise the work that the Honourable Lady undertakes with the APPG on food banks. We are protecting, the Government are protecting the most vulnerable with a £94 billion support package for households, and have helped nearly 2 million people out of absolute poverty after housing costs since 2010.
Christine Jardine.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My constituency of Edinburgh West is not amongst the poorest in Scotland. Well, we already have 1 in 10 children, in some areas 1 in 3 children living in poverty. 2/3 of them, their families, are actually working. So with the soaring food prices, sky-high mortgage rates, and Edinburgh having the highest increase in annual rents in the UK, families are struggling. We know that our Scottish Government is only interested in independence. So can the Minister tell me what the UK Government is going to do for those families?
Mr. Speaker, the government recognises the anxiety that people feel about rising mortgages. That's why the Prime Minister's priority is to halve inflation this year. That is the single best way that we can keep costs down and interest rates down for people, and we've got a clear plan to deliver that. The Chancellor also met with major mortgage lenders last week and has agreed a mortgage charter covering 75% of the market. Hopefully that will provide reassurance to mortgage holders and others affected by this.
Before we come to Prime Minister's questions, I'm sure the whole House will wish to join me in paying tribute to John Angeli, OBE, the Director of the Parliamentary Broadcasting, who is leaving the House service at the end of this week. During his 12 years as Director, John not only oversaw the expansion of live video coverage to all public proceedings, but delivered the hybrid capability which enabled Parliament to function during lockdown, and of course made history with President Zelensky beamed into this chamber. He has more recently brought live subtitling and British Sign Language to our proceedings. I am sure I speak on behalf of the whole House in thanking John and wishing him all the best in the future. We now start with questions to Prime Minister Dr. Luke Evans.
Number one, Mr. Speaker.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, today we'll see the second reading of the Holocaust Memorial Bill. For decades, survivors like the late Sir Ben Helfgott showed the extraordinary courage to share their testimonies so that we would never forget. I hope the whole House will unite today to get this memorial built and put those testimonies at the heart of our democracy for generations to come. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Dr. Luke Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And for 3 years since I've been elected, I've been campaigning to improve health facilities in my community. And I'm pleased to see significant investment in Leicestershire with £14 million for a CDC in Hinckley and part of £20 billion for hospital improvements for the LRI and Glenfield. But I'm looking for a hat-trick of health in Hinckley. And what I'm looking for is a day case unit. The money is already there. It's tied up in red tape. I've raised this with the Health Secretary. Would the Prime Minister look to see what he can do, and would he come and like to open the CDC next year in Hinckley?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm delighted that since its opening last month, the Hinckley CDC has already delivered, I believe, over 300 additional tests to the local community. My honourable friend will know that it's for the local health authorities to determine how to allocate the NHS budget in their area, but I have no doubt that he will continue to make the case for them for a day case unit in his community.
We now come to Leader of the Opposition, Keir Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, can I join your tribute to John and wish him all the best on behalf of the House, and join the Prime Minister in his comments about the Holocaust Memorial. I'd also like to wish Muslims across the country a happy Eid. And Mr. Speaker, last week the Labour Party lost Margaret McDonough, our first female General Secretary, and a trailblazer in every sense of the word. Margaret provided guidance, leadership and loyal friendship to so many in the Labour movement. And it wasn't long after I started in this job that Margaret was at my door, and I will be forever grateful for the advice and support that she gave me. We will all miss her terribly. Mr. Speaker, his party spent thousands of pounds on adverts attacking plans to build 300,000 new homes a year. At the same time, his housing minister says it's Tory party policy to build 300,000 new homes a year. So is he for building 300,000 new homes a year or against it?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I can just remind the honourable gentleman of our record since being in office. 2.2 million additional homes, Mr. Speaker. Housing starts double the number we inherited from the Labour Party. More homes meeting the decent home standards. Housing supply up 10% in the last year that we have figures for. And in the last year we had figures for, we also saw a 20-year high in the number of first-time buyers, Mr. Speaker. That's a Conservative government delivering for this country.
Mr. Speaker, it wasn't a difficult question. Can he point to a single person in housing, in construction, anywhere, who thinks he'll actually hit his target of 300,000 new homes a year? Anyone?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the record is that in the last 3 years, we've delivered almost record numbers of new home building in every one of those years. But Mr. Speaker, he talks about targets, so let's be clear. I promised to put local people in control of new housing. I delivered on that policy within weeks of becoming Prime Minister. But I am confused from the Honourable Gentleman, because first, the Shadow Community and Housing Secretary said communities should have control. But then he then said we should get the targets back and disempower local people. I do want to give him some advice. I don't think it's local people that are the problem. It's a Labour Party policy.
Mr. Speaker, presumably if he could have identified a single person who thought he'd hit his target, he would have told us. And there you have the problem. 1 minute he says he's for building new houses, the next he's campaigning against them. And the truth is, far from delivering, since he crumbled to his backbenchers and scrapped mandatory targets, house building has collapsed. He knows it, they know it, and every expert is telling them it. Why didn't he just admit it? He's not going to get anywhere near his target, is he?
No. Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Gentleman now claims that he supports house building, especially on the green belt. But unfortunately for him, it's good that he agrees that he does believe that now. But unfortunately for him, the Shadow Deputy Prime Minister, the Shadow Minister for Women, the Shadow Health, Justice, Defence, Business, Northern Ireland and Scotland Ministers are all united against more house building in their areas, Mr. Speaker. I have to say to them though, Mr. Speaker, I would say to them though, they don't have to worry too much because he's never actually kept a promise he's made.
Mr. Speaker, you can tell from his answer, non-answer, his body language, he's actually given up. He's given up. And his failure isn't just shattering the dream of those who desperately want to own their own home, it's also hitting those who already have a mortgage.
That's right.
Because of their economic chaos, mortgage holders will be £2,900 a year poorer. How can they ever look the British people in the eye again and claim to be the party of home ownership?
Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I don't think he's noticed that his Shadow Housing Secretary doesn't actually agree with his new policy of concreting over the green belt, Mr. Speaker. She's been campaigning against developments in her own constituency. She said she wanted to prevent urban sprawl and provide green space for local people. I think that's quite sensible, but it's classic Labour, Mr. Speaker, saying one thing here, doing another thing elsewhere. You simply can't trust a word they say.
At least he isn't claiming they are the party of home ownership anymore, because we are. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister says he's 100% on it. But his definition of 100% on it is to gently ask the banks to do the right thing. His softly approach, refusing to put mandatory measures in place, risks leaving 1 million households without support. How many will have to lose their homes before he'll stand up for the people his party have pushed into economic misery?
Mr. Speaker, in fact, the vast majority of the mortgage market is now covered by the new mortgage charter that the Chancellor's brought in. That is delivering practical help to mortgage holders, allowing them to extend their terms, switch to interest-only mortgage, and actually saving them hundreds of pounds a month. So instead of scaring them, actually, there is now practical support in place. But it's right that he raised home ownership, Mr. Speaker. That's why we, on this side of the House, introduced a 95% mortgage guarantee scheme. It's why we introduced the first homes and shared ownership schemes to get people onto the housing ladder. And crucially, Mr. Speaker, it's why we cut stamp duty. So now what we've seen is the highest number of first-time buyers in 20 years, Mr. Speaker. That is twice the number that the Labour Party ever managed.
Mr. Speaker, it's sort of housing crisis. What crisis with this Prime Minister? He must be the only person in the country who thinks that enough houses have been built in the last 13 years. And whether it's those dreaming of getting the keys to their first home or those already with mortgages, the ambitions of families across the country have been crushed by his failing Tory government. House building at its lowest rate since the war because he can't stand up to his own party. A Tory mortgage bombshell because they crashed the economy. Millions left without support because he won't make lenders put families first. Rather than lecturing the rest of the country on holding their nerve, why doesn't he try and locate his?
Well, Mr. Speaker, as always, he hasn't actually taken the time to understand the detail of what we're doing. So, again, I'm happy to explain it again, Mr. Speaker, because it's right that we provide support for mortgage owners, which is why we improve the generosity of the support for mortgage interest scheme. It's why we've introduced the new mortgage charter, which, by the way, goes much more farther than the Labour Party policy on protecting mortgage holders does. On house building, we're proud to protect the green belt and invest millions more in developing brownfield sites. Mr. Speaker, the simple truth is, that's what I said I would do, and that's what we've delivered, and that is the difference between us. I deliver what I promise, he just breaks his.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Labour-run Kirklees Council's local plan is seeing hundreds of homes built on greenfield sites, but the agreed developer levies, the Section 106 agreements, which are supposedly for local infrastructure spending, seem to be disappearing into a black hole. So does the Prime Minister agree with me that agreed infrastructure levies from developers shouldn't be going into a general slush fund? They should be spent on local roads, local schools and local health services for the communities impacted by those developments.
My honourable friend raises an excellent point, and that's why the government is reforming the Section 106 payment system to ensure that new development is matched by new infrastructure, because the current system sees far too little of the developers' profits going to build new schools, hospitals or transport infrastructure. It's also too slow and plagued by uncertainties, and that particularly hampers smaller local developers. So it will be replaced by a new non-negotiable, local determined infrastructure levy, which will deliver exactly what the honourable gentleman and others want to see: investment in local communities.
SNP leader Stephen Flynn.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to start by paying tribute to SNP legend Winnie Ewan and Scotland men's national team former manager Craig Brown, who both so sadly passed in recent days, and to all Muslims who are celebrating Eid Mubarak. Mr. Speaker, on Sunday the Prime Minister patronised the public when he told them that in the face of ever-increasing mortgage bills that they simply need to hold their nerve. What a nerve. So may I ask him, the near billionaire, when was the last time that he struggled to pay a bill?
Mr. Speaker, the reason that mortgage rates are rising is because of inflation, Mr. Speaker. That is the root cause, which is why it's absolutely the right policy to tackle halve inflation and reduce it back to target. Now, that does mean that we do have to make difficult decisions. It does mean we have to be patient while the impact of those decisions actually has an impact. But in the meantime, Mr. Speaker, as I was explaining previously, we are taking practical steps to support mortgage holders across the United Kingdom, particularly through the SMI scheme and the new mortgage charter.
Stephen Flynn.
Mr. Speaker, that answer confirms what we already know, that this Prime Minister is out of touch and the Tory party is soon to be out of time. And what the public really want is change. But in a week where the Conservative Party and indeed the Labour Party both refused to accept proposals for public sector pay rises, whilst at the same time accepting the economic damage of Brexit, is it not the case that Westminster does not offer the people real change nor real hope for the future?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the honourable gentleman just exposes the complete economic illiteracy of the SNP position. question talks about the challenges posed on ordinary families by higher interest rates caused by higher inflation. What does his next question do? Support a policy that would increase government borrowing and make the situation worse. Mr. Speaker, it just demonstrates completely candidly why the SNP's approach to economic management is simply not fit for anyone in the United Kingdom.
Mr. Speaker, local police stations are a key part of communities such as Aldridge in my constituency, and that's why I continue to make the case to Labour's Police and Crime Commissioner to save and strengthen the role of Aldridge Police Station, not force it to close. So does the Prime Minister agree with me that any such closure would be reckless, and Police and Crime Commissioners should be working with local communities and local police teams to provide greater certainty, particularly given the extra 1,376 extra police officers this government has put into the West Midlands?
Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to hear about the extra police officers that the government has funded in my right honourable friend's community, but I am concerned to hear about the planned closure of Aldridge Police Station. I'd like to thank my right honourable friend for raising such an important issue. I know it's one on which she is championing her constituents. As she will know, unfortunately, this is a decision of the locally elected Labour Police and Crime Commissioner, and I would join her in urging them to think again.
Liz Savile Roberts.
The Prime Minister's solution to inflation is to push families into poverty while letting corporate profits pile up. Economic illiteracy. The IMF said this week that the way to cut inflation is for companies to cut their profit margins. It's corporate greed fueling inflation, not workers' need for fair pay. Can he explain to the 1 in 5 people in Wales facing hunger because they cannot afford to buy decent food why they must pay his price for lowering inflation?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, actually, my honourable friend the Chancellor met with all the economic regulators this morning, and they'll be making an announcement later about their plans to ensure fairness of pricing and supply chain to ease the burden on consumers. But I'm glad she brought up the IMF when it comes to tackling inflation, because actually the IMF, in their words, strongly endorsed our plan to halve inflation, and they called our steps both decisive and responsible.
Jonathan Lord.
Mr. Speaker, as my right honourable friend knows, I've been liaising closely with the Department for Levelling Up Housing and Communities and with the Treasury with regard to the terrible news of Woking Council's recent Section 114 notice. Would my right honourable friend agree with me that in this scenario the vulnerable must be protected, and that the local councillors of all parties need to work together to try to put the council's finances back on the right track?
Prime Minister.
I know my honourable friend is a great champion for his Woking residents, and as he knows, the Secretary of State for Levelling Up has intervened in this authority and appointed commissioners to ensure that decisions are taken that provide the best outcomes for residents, including the most vulnerable and indeed the public purse. I agree with him that local councillors should be working together with the commissioners to put the council's finances in order. The commissioners will submit their first report to the Secretary of State, setting out progress on the council's path to improvement and financial sustainability, and I look forward with him to seeing further progress.
Sir Christopher Bryant.
Thank you. The Prime Minister has had responsibility for the UK economy now for 1,323 days, and he's delivered. He's delivered the largest national peacetime debt ever, the largest tax burden since the Second World War, the highest core inflation since 1991, the fastest interest rate rises since 1989, and the biggest fall in living standards in our history. So will he stop lecturing my constituents about holding their nerve, ditch the lame excuses, and admit that he is literally the worst person to be leading this country through a cost of living crisis?
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, again, what do we hear from the party opposite? Only ideas that would make the situation far worse, Mr. Speaker. It's as simple as that. The honourable gentleman has sat there and supported plans to borrow tens of billions of pounds more. That would make inflation worse. The honourable gentleman has sat there and said that we should not stand up to unaffordable union pay demands. That would make the situation worse. And the honourable gentleman has sat there and supported plans to not exploit our domestic sources of energy energy, Mr. Speaker, imperiling our energy security. Those are all things that would make not just the situation worse for British families today, but for years into the future, and that's why this Conservative government will keep doing the right thing to support them.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My constituents rely on many nearby hospitals. Milton Keynes, where this government has committed to a new women and children's hospital. Stoke Mandeville, who has just completed the build of a new children's A&E. But also Wickham, where infrastructure and maintenance issues in the ageing tower is preventing around 2,000 operations a year from going ahead. My local trust has a plan for a £200 million new clinical centre at Wickham Hospital. Will my right honourable friend, the Prime Minister, work with myself and Buckinghamshire colleagues to make that a reality?
Prime Minister. Oh, I thank my honourable friend for his question. Whilst he knows that we are no longer inviting further schemes to join the new hospital programme, I can tell him that in the future new schemes will be considered through the rolling programme of capital investment in hospital infrastructure. That will secure the building of new hospitals beyond 2030 and mean future investment to upgrade the NHS estate across the country. Now, future plans for that will obviously be set out in spending reviews and fiscal events, but in the meantime, I know that he will continue to make the passionate case for Wickham Hospital, and I join him in that.
Chris Elbow.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hundreds of steel workers are outside Parliament today, and some are in the gallery, calling on the Prime Minister to act now to back our vital steel industry before it is too late. So will he confirm today that he will match the ambition of the Labour Party and our international competitors to deliver competitive energy prices, invest in green steel production, use UK steel in our procurement systems, and protect us from dirty steel imports by introducing climate measures? And when will he get on with protecting and supporting the industry?
Mr. Speaker, we're proud to support the steel industry and value the contribution that it makes to this country, which is why we've put in place the energy intensive industry scheme that provides hundreds of millions of pounds of support to steel companies with their energy bills. We've also introduced the Industrial Energy Transformation Fund so that companies can apply for capital grants to help them with the transition. We are taking forward plans in the Treasury for carbon border adjustment mechanisms to ensure a level playing field, and it's why, Mr. Speaker, during the pandemic that I stepped in to support financially a steel company in Wales.
Sir James Duddridge.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Despite 5 years of lobbying, sadly the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association International branch will leave the United Kingdom. Mr. Speaker, you know this is a great concern to the House, although perhaps something a little niche for our constituents. It is important. They need special status. The government haven't granted that by way of a short bill or an amendment to an existing bill. And could the Prime Minister at this late stage this month do something about this, because otherwise they'll be gone, never to come back?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the United Kingdom values the work of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. My right honourable friend, the Foreign Secretary, has made clear that he does not want the CPA International to relocate. He's written to them in March to confirm that officials from the SCDO would work with the CPA to find a mutually acceptable solution to the status issue, and I look forward to seeing progress.
Alison McGovern.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, your constituents and mine, I think, have been made a promise by the Prime Minister. Inflation at or below 5% by the end of this year. So I want to ask the Prime Minister, what will happen if he fails to meet that promise? Will it be yet more ranting on about the Labour Party, or will it be the general election my constituents crave?
No, Mr. Speaker, we are sticking to the course of bringing inflation down, Mr. Speaker. I think what the Labour Party need to understand is that requires making difficult and tough decisions, Mr. Speaker. It requires prioritising. It requires being able to say no when people come asking you to borrow more money. Those are the type of responsible decisions that I will make and the Conservative government will make, because they're the right ones for the country.
David Moore.
Mr. Speaker, for over 160 years, Southport Pier has been at the centre of our visitor economy, welcoming visitors from far and wide, including Chorley, Mr. Speaker. It stood the tests of time, except for the mismanagement of Labour-controlled Sefton Council, who've closed our pier. Businesses are concerned it will have a huge impact on tourism. Will the Prime Minister condemn these actions and support my campaign and efforts to work with this Conservative government to get our pier open?
Mr. Speaker, can I welcome my honourable friend's commitment to the important community assets in his constituency, such as the historic Grade 2 listed Southport Pier. And I am pleased to say that he is working and succeeded in getting the government to provide £2 million as part of the Coastal Community Fund to undertake improvements in the pier, and that's alongside the landmark £35.5 million town deal for Southport, which is the second largest town deal anywhere in the country.
Samantha Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is the first opportunity that I've had to put a question to the Prime Minister for the residents of the City of Chester. So, why does the Prime Minister think it's acceptable for sewage to be pumped into the beautiful River Dee that flows through Chester for the next 27 years?
Mr. Speaker, of course it's not acceptable, and that's why this government has gone further than any other government in tackling this issue, committing to monitor 100% of storm overflows, an investment programme of £56 billion to upgrade infrastructure, and enshrining in law strict targets, as well as introducing unlimited fines for water companies. But when it came to talking about those policies in this House, the party opposite couldn't even be bothered to turn up and vote for them.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Later today, Parliament will welcome apprentices from around the UK who were working in the aerospace industry, and I'm very much looking forward to meeting Callum and Brittany, who are both apprentices in my constituency of Wolverhampton North East at Collins Aerospace. Would he join me in celebrating apprenticeships in the aerospace industry and encourage colleagues to attend and meet their apprentices?
Well, can I join with my honourable friend in both celebrating everyone doing an apprentice and encourage everyone to go and meet theirs later on today and pay tribute to Callum and Brittany in particular. And she's absolutely right to highlight the importance of the aerospace industry, particularly because of our new defence cooperation agreement with Italy and Japan to build a new generation of fighter aircraft. Thousands of new jobs will be created across the country. Many of those will be through apprentices, and that's an example of this Conservative government providing opportunities for the next generation.
Ian Miles. Mr. Speaker, Prime Minister, last year 1.7 million children missed more than 10% of their schooling. 125,000 children were absent more than they were in school, and a further 140,000 children were missing from formal schooling completely. This is both a safeguarding and an educational catastrophe, and it's happening on the Prime Minister's watch. Yesterday, the Schools Minister told the Education Select Committee that primary legislation was required to initiate a national register for children missing from education so we can find out where they are. Will the Prime Minister commit to bringing forward necessary legislation to combat this crisis for our children as a matter of urgency? Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I agree with the honourable gentleman that children missing school is a tragedy and it's incredibly damaging for educational outcomes, which is why during the pandemic and afterwards we invested £5 billion to help children catch up with lost learning. It's important that we continue to deliver on those plans, and we will of course make sure that we work with the sector to have more children attending school more often.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Economic recovery and reconstruction will be vitally important to Ukraine when it comes to rebuilding a free and sovereign nation. So will my right honourable friend help galvanise the expertise of our UK's private sector to help strengthen Ukraine's recovery and their economic prospects after this devastating war?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, time and time again, Ukraine has shown